Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to discuss about multi-select LOVs in ADF. So as you can see the screenshot here, so I have a multi-select LOV where users can select multiple values from the LOV drop-down. One thing you can see here is here users don't have the option to enter the values. Because we can see an input list of values where user can enter the values as well as select the values, right? But here only selection is allowed. User is not able to edit these, means enter any values in this. Even if you want to deselect the values, right, you have to deselect the values from here. You cannot just delete the values from uh, this LOV. Let's see how we can implement this. So the first step would be create LOV, which will be based which will have the query on which our LOV will be based on. So here a support side ID we want to display from this particular table. So we are trying to get all the unique support side IDs and ordering by the support side ID. Just make sure the query which you are going to use for the LOV doesn't have any where clause or any type of bind variable which will be requiring any values, right? Because in case those values are not provided, your LOV will not render on the screen. It will the query should return the values at once. So just make sure your view object query is okay. Once you have framed the query to select the values, like from to get that source of your LOV, right? The next step will be to use this means create put it in the AMANPL, and we have this available in our data control. So if we the support site query one, right? Now here, unlike other LOB parameters where we drop each field, right, here you have to drop the entire view here. Then you will get this option of multiple selection. In this multiple selection you have the options like you have the checkbox, you have the shuttle component, but you have to select here ADF select many choice. Okay, select many choice. Once you have select, you will get a panel like this where you will have to select which attribute you want. So here you can select a base attribute and display attribute. Both can be different as well. So here I need the same value to be shown in the base as well as the display attribute. So I have chosen it. Once you click on this, you have uh, the bindings getting created. So you can see here for the we have this list, a small list icon, and a support side query one. The list binding has got created here. Now, just one thing to note here. So if you see the range size here, right? By default, it could be 25 or 10, something like that. So in if it is 25 or 10, right? So only those many values will appear in your list, the list which we saw in at the starting, right? If you want all the values of the query to appear in your list, you have to put this as -1, or else here if you see only a couple of values will display. Okay, so the range size you will have to change in the base definition file. So this is where you can change the values. And also the list binding name is this is the name, right? Support side query one, which we will be using in our below code. So this is the one you have to refer. You won't be using the iterator here. So you'll be using the list binding name from here. So this is how our JSPX page would look like. Select many choice component got created. You have to maybe select the 8 auto submit as true, and also define a value change listener for this so that you can get the value, the selected values of for this, right? And then perform a search on this. Now, if you select the bindings, right, if you in using the bindings, you won't be able to get the value of this component. So you will have to use the value change listener, and then get, get all the selected values, and then iterate through the values to get the particular value. Okay, so we'll see how we can do it. So this is how our Java code will look like. So we have the value change listener created here. I'm getting the new value. So after getting the new value, you need to mention this one, the value change event. This quite common process updates the faces content that create a current instance. If this you're not mentioning this line, right, then what will happen is even if you try to select it, right, select the values will get selected, but the selected list, when you try to get the selected list, right, it will return as 0. So here if we see this line, right, list binding, and this is a list binding thing which we have done. So here you have to pass the list binding name which I showed you above. So here we are getting the selected values, right? So this object will return you the length of this object will be always 0 if you don't use this process updates this method, right? So use this. And then we have the list all the levels defined this in the object. Now just we'll iterate through all this object and we'll form our support site id. We'll form our string here. So we are passing the values in single quotes and with a comma, right? So we are appending this in front of our value which we are getting from this list. So and at the end we're taking removing the last comma, right? So this is what we are doing using a substring function here. Now these value I'm going to store this particular value in a map, in a page flow scope map, so that I can use it while when I'm going to do a search. Okay, so if you want to do a search using that particular the values whatever user has selected, you can do a search like this. First of all you need to create a view. So I have created a EO based view. So you can see this EO based view which I have created for this. Now on the page I have a search button, and on this I have an action event code written. So I'm just calling this iterate the binding this above view. And here in the break cross I'm just passing that the support side id value should be in this parenthesis opening and closing parenthesis the value here. So this value we had stored in the page flow scope, so I'm getting it retrieving it from the page flow scope. So this is the single quotes, right? The values will be passed in a single quotes and separated by comma. This value will be passed here. So this is my where clause. I'll execute the query, and then once I click on the search, right, I'll get all the results. Means whatever values user have selected, right? This is how our UI will look. This is how our component, the multi-select component would appear. And once user has selected these values, right, and clicks, if they click on a search button, all these records for these support site IDs would appear on the screen. Thank you for watching.